I had to kind of change my thinking around it and really try to ascertain as to how responsible I was being by wanting to have children.
I suppose my major concern is that after seeing what Mum goes through and seeing episodes that she has, I wouldn't want to go through that, but also I wouldn't want to put future children through that.
I was resisting getting married because I was scared to have children, because I knew there was a hereditary sort of factor in depression. I also knew that I was still at an age where it might develop. I was sort of at the peak age where young men topple into this. But my wife was very strong and determined and sort of put me in the right direction, picked me up and said, get on with it. And so I'm very happy that she did.
I remember having a really long conversation with my father about it and him saying, you do have to really take into consideration that you will pass this down potentially because it is genetic, and then what will your children's experience be, and what will their children's experience be?
Many people with hereditary depression ask themselves the question, should I have a child? When they ask me that, and we have a discussion, because it's not my decision, it's their decision, there are two main issues that I suggest they consider. One is that depression is a common experience anyway, whether or not you've got a family history. The second, and probably the most important, is that depression is very treatable.
I don't think I've ever thought of having children. I don't know why. But if I would like to have children someday. I've done reading and they say you're likely to have, if you have depression, then likely your kids will have depression. So probably they'll have it. I'm not sure.
It wasn't an easy decision, but I felt that I would be better off to not have children. It's been a long, difficult road for me. And because the genetic factor was such a high factor in my family, I just decided that I would devote myself to my family, the people around me, my art, and my creative life, and not have children.
People ask me if they have bipolar disorder, what is my chance of my child having bipolar disorder? It's a strongly inherited condition, and we know that a child has about a 10% risk of having bipolar disorder. That compares to about 1% in the general community. So it's definitely increased. However, what that also means is that most children won't develop bipolar disorder.
Look, I know my kids in the future will have a higher risk of getting hereditary depression because I have at least a 25% chance of getting it because my mum has it. But when you outweigh 25% to 75%, like obviously the chance of not getting it is higher. So if you think of it that way, I think it would be stupid for me and Maddie not to have kids in that sense.
And also I think the way society copes with depression now is a lot wiser than when I was terrified at that age. And I think that's part of what I really thank my wife for, is that she got me out of that blue funk of fear and made me live my life rather than fearing to live it.
So if you're worried about your child having depression, we know that that depression will be well treated, and in the future there are most likely to be much better treatments available anyway. So for those reasons, I see no reason that people with hereditary depression should not have children.